Bonjour, everyone, and happy Easter to all and sundry. Really, I hope you're all having a fabulous day. It's just sort of that kind of weather where Mankin wants to go a little further. So here we are. And here we are in the midst of, whenever I turn on my computer, there's always something trying to titillate and move me to click on P. Diddy. P. Diddy. And we've got others, of course. We've got Fannie Willis and the sort of other, we've got all of this kind of slew of salaciousness, and I'm trying to live my life. I don't want that, but I decided to delve in for a minute and realized, well, of course we know he was, CIA, tool for putting people in compromising positions, and, kind of like a little Jeffrey Epstein operation going on there. And maybe he made someone upset. We know there's people probably doing way worse than P. Diddy, no matter how bad the stories get. And, oh wow, we're coming across some rather lovely blossoms and bird songs. And meanwhile, there's nothing. Nothing. It is, what do they call it? Cricket silence about the outlawing of small farms in Oregon. And the only two newspaper articles, there were only two newspaper articles talking about the Soros donation to Governor Brown, not Moonbeam. It's Kate, I think is its first name. And so we've got, sorry, he started to go in a different direction. So here, and neither of the articles said anything negative about Soros. They actually were like, oh wow, this rich guy is giving us money out here, which was appalling. I thought at this point everyone did know. If anyone is watching this and like Soros and is making fun of me and thinks the small farm abolishment is a great thing, then at least watch an interview with him. You can find it on the internet. I've heard he's tried to scrub it and it's just too many people have copies. It's an old 60 minutes interview with him. And it lays out how he amassed his fortune. He tells you in his own words. And he also is thrilled about it. At one point, I think it's Dan Rather says, oh my God, that must have been so hard for you, what you were doing. And he guffawed and said, no, it was the best time of my life. So skip ahead if you already know. I'll just try to put it in a nutshell that he and his color revolution, he was a son of a, do we really, look at, they're doing even more construction now. Let's get away from that hideous madness, as if we need any more buildings full of state shirkers here and more good places taken away. I'm not sure. Is this like a little, it might be like a little dead end. Hi there. Yep, I think that might be a little dead end. We'll turn around and go up. So, he came from a wealthy Jewish family. I'm not sure if they showed it on 60 Minutes or not, but there are documentaries that show he grew up on an island in the middle of, was it the Danube or the Rhine, whatever European river it was, flowing through whatever European town it was. And when the Nazis came in, the family fled, but they thought that George looked like he could, quote unquote, pass for a, the George Soros color revolution, that he could pass for being a Gentile. And they had him live with a doctor. I think it was a doctor's family, some sort of prominent family, and he just kind of suddenly was there blending in Europa. And he knew, though, however, where all the Jews lived, because he had lived there forever and had been raised a Jew. So at some point he might have even gone to the Nazis. He might have even knocked on their door and said, "Can I be of assistance?" I'm not remembering like that in the initial moment of engagement, but there was a deal made with him that if he could point out who was, that they could then, well, aren't you a gorgeous kitty? That they could then go and raid the house, put these poor people on cattle cars, and they were splitting with him like 50-50. Like, he got a huge cut, and they were going to mansions, estates. These were industrialists. He was grabbing the jewelry, the china. They were letting him have the run of the show. And he was like 15 years old or something, like a high schooler. And he just said, no, it was wonderful. The more that I, you know what they say, a Republican is a Democrat who was mugged. Have you ever heard that joke? And not that I'm like a big Republican. I hated the whole Bush era, all that stuff, my God. So anyway, what was, oh my God. So here's this kid who's realizing that he can point people out, send them to their deaths, grab all of their belongings, and, split it 50-50 with the Nazis. So this was the easiest pickings, most evil way to make money. I don't know why he didn't go to Nuremberg. I don't know why he has been allowed to sort of exist freely in this world. He has the Open Society, which I think is in New York as well, and places, but it's been known for a long time that this is the baddest of the bad actors, and that there are others like him whose names we do not know. I have a friend who always keeps reminding me that he's not the only player in town. But what I saw last night, and I'd like to go back and find it. It was a channel I'd never been on before or had seen, and the guy was just really brilliant. He just really knew his stuff, and I was sort of up in the night with a bit of I'd fallen walking Mankind, so I was kind of doing a little yoga in the night, and it really helped. And he said it's from the Maoist playbook, and that the Maoist playbook was starvation, to create famine, because then you have the ultimate control with famine. And it's so fascinating. As I was going through things the other day, and I saw the Anna Schlecht, who was the housing director here and who's the head of a lot of nonprofits, that she was said right at the beginning of an interview that she is a Maoist. And this is someone who has shaped policy, you know, for the city, probably for, you know, the government. There are pictures of her with dignitaries from various nations, holding up various flags, etc. I don't mean to pinpoint one person. You know, there are some people who do say, where are the sons and daughters and grandsons and daughters of those who were part of the bloody Bolshevik revolution, you know, who attacked and killed the Tsar's family instead of just deposing them. You know, they showed what they were in what they did they not? They showed their colors right away. Colors, showing colors, right? And here we have that going on. So it's, you know, once again, bring out P. Diddy when you need to distract people from the real news. We've got, of course, the Black Swan event of the bridge collapse, and it's like, and if you weren't smart enough to get it the first time, we're going to do another barge into bridge in Oklahoma twice. And of course, you know, what are they? The so-called normies will explain it away, the Democrats, because we call them coincidence theorists, right? Because at some point, there are no coincidences anymore. You know, someone was writing, oh, this is like a common thing. And I'm like, no, it was common in India, where you really don't hear about it as much. You'd hear in India, a bridge collapsed or a train derailed. That was something that happened in other places that were deeply remote in every way, shape, and form. And now it's commonplace. One thing is that politicians have made infrastructure. We haven't had new infrastructure put in because they play with words. And so teaching children about, you know, do they want their genitals, you know, removed or whatever, that's considered infrastructure. They're like, you know, that's infrastructure. So, you know, you've got your wordplay, and it's all well and cute and lawyery and fun, but then what happens when the roads don't get fixed and the bridges fall because you said, you know, pronouns are infrastructure. You know, they're not just even pronouns or identity, that they count as infrastructure. And, you know, whatever lawyer might think they were. Now, I did see someone out here in pajamas the other day, and they had a roller. It wasn't like they were mowing the lawn, but it was like they were rolling it and flattening it. And they definitely lived here. And I know Bucking Shout, that was sweet of you to say, you know, whoever lives there, you know, may they be enjoying it. I think I get a little bit testy because I feel like the people that get these sweet deals, it's, you know, it's communist nepotism, right? It's, you know, so-and-so's kiddo or something gets to live in the mansion that's now part of the Evergreen State College. But as I said, our other place that was just brutally torn down, and it was the original Sherwood Press with the cute little building and the little back street. It was like they took out a whole village with that block they knocked out. And with this looking like they are not doing upkeep, although the college itself is frowsy. There's all kinds of orange cones over there and broken down things. So I don't know. I don't know if they got it to save it, you know, or if it's one of those kind of fake saves where that adorable little area suddenly became a bed and breakfast that was just kind of owned by silly greeners. And I always wondered, how did they get the money to do it? And I'm sure that they were probably paid to not put up a fuss. It used to be here, and I've seen it. I've seen old newspapers. Sometimes I'll open something I've had put away for years, and it will just shock me that, you know, there used to be protests about things that were real, which was land, you know. And oddly, that was the one line that was taken out of, what was it? The Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and happiness. It used to be life, liberty, and land. And then they realized at some point in the future, there might not be land for certain people, and they just kind of threw in the word happiness, because they didn't really have another word. That's an ephemeral term, happiness, you know, and right, like you can really define that. It's different for everyone. So it was kind of almost a non-document type word in a document. You know, I've seen the word private enjoyment for different real estate deals, but that's about so the term enjoyment, but I haven't seen that. So here we've got a beautiful day, don't we? Here we have an amazing day. So I feel, buy these people off. I've seen it with other things as well, and I think they're like, okay, you know, this is going to get taken over, whatever, it's going to come down, but you guys, you know, you're like the mouthy bullies of the block or whatever, so, you know, instead of protesting it and we don't get to do the project, you guys can just live in it, you know, free for 10 years or 20 years. That bed and breakfast was there for a long time. I remember it was a bed and breakfast in the 90s. So they got a really good run of it, you know. They got a long run of it. And by the end, it was just kind of almost a crash pad. I think, you know, the people had bailed ship sort of earlier, because I just remember knowing something was going to happen when I sort of saw more people there, and it was a little bit frowsier. And then I think I've even seen there had been a beautiful home next door to it that they demolished, and yet there's a house that isn't anywhere nearly as nice that's for sale in that neighborhood, that's got giant ads all over it. Historic home, beautiful home, you can't ever find a home like this. And it's like, you guys just destroyed one that was like it, right? You just destroyed it. Yeah, this oldie Skin and Wax, that might have been the one. It was definitely a skincare place, and the house was just utterly perfect. You know, one of these wooden, and it was painted like lavender. It was just really pretty. And I feel, you know, this place it might be good for like a Quentin Tarantino set. He likes that kind of fakey brick from mid-century, but you know, they did a little bit of repainting, but the actual infrastructure on it is pretty nil. So I don't know, you know, there's plans. There are Maoist takeover plans afoot. There are greedy shirker plans afoot. It's wild that we've got tons of homeless, and all these people can seem to think of, if they're even people, are putting up more of these state buildings that are utterly not only useless but detrimental. You know, these are going to fill people that, you know, have capabilities, satellite capabilities. They say they're going to see if you have farms in Oregon via satellite. Like, they're threatening people. Like, if you grow a carrot You know, you're in prison, we're taking your land. And that used to be like considered a good thing, like move to Oregon, start a farm, like what nicer, better thing can you do? So it's very weird to suddenly have what was considered the best thing you could do, really, to now what's considered the worst thing you can do. I think I showed you like that Oregon farm, that biodynamic farm that even had, like, donates to the food bank, organic food. I guess we can't have that. So this is, it's just wild that my computer is flooded with P. Diddy everything. And all these people I'm learning about, you know, 50 Cent and Jay-Z always looks familiar. I feel like I had a conversation with him on the subway in like 1983 or something. But, you know, it's just like wild. All these people and nothing, zero about Oregon farms, the food supply. And there are other states where there are severe fines, where they haven't fully said we're shutting them all down, but they're fining people like crazy. And now there are people trying to have hidden farms. This is like a really bad sci-fi flick. It's weird. As I get older, I realize that everything I learned in school was wrong, but all the horror movies were right. You know, like, oh, you're going to college, you know? You think it's going to be great, right, in the horror movie, and then, like, the professor turns out to be a vampire or something. That's more like it, right? But it's so interesting. What are their plans? And what do we do, you know? And it was just so interesting when he said that Mao used starvation. Mao used starvation. This is just out of the Maoist playbook. I know they starved in Russia too, but, you know, that might have just been because it's Russia. You know, I mean, there's like horrible years there where everything eats the crops, or everything freezes everything, or God knows what happens. And happy Easter. You are all absolutely divine and fabulous. I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep talking. We're just here on our Easter walk, and much love.